Okay, here's my thing. This there's a magazine called The Week, and in the October 24th issue, we're going the wrong way. There was a just a little tiny article that said "Scan for impending dementia," and it was very interesting because they were talking about. Scientists believe they may have found a simple, non-intrusive method for detecting early signs of dementia before symptoms appear. And I'll get to the important part here in a minute, but it's a team of scientists from the University of Geneva, and they did MRI scans on people who did not have any brain decline or no signs of cognitive impairment, and then they went back and checked them 18 months later for mental disintegration. Now, here is the key. Those whose original scans showed reduced blood flow to certain parts of the brain, specifically areas associated with Alzheimer's, were more likely to have developed memory problems. And I thought, wow, well, that's
exactly what they told us. That's right.
It increases the blood flow to the brain.
And that actually is in part both the short-term and the long-term benefit of taking it to, but I really do notice a difference with MindWorks. And it's hard because it's subjective, so it's hard.
Yeah. But I thought this was interesting because, we can't make claims for MindWorks that it, helps with Alzheimer's or not, but we certainly could quote this study, I would believe.
That's right. Was it online that you found it?
No, it was we still get paper copies of things.
Yes, me too. But what I'm thinking is it would be nice if we could find it online and we could attach it.
Yeah, it might be online.
Because that's what we want to talk about this morning and this new news about Dr.
I'll type
Phil.
get it typed up, and we can attach it next week or something, maybe.
Okay, good idea. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're continuing to have MindWorks conversation with the big news that was came out of Shaklee this week that MindWorks is going to be featured on a Dr. Phil program. So this wonderful challenge that started with Maria Shriver and who was so moved to do something about helping to address this this continuing problem of people as they age having dementia and Alzheimer's, because that's what happened to her father, and she saw what a debilitating thing that was for not only the patient but for the whole family. And so every time we offer MindWorks to somebody and teach them about it and the remarkable benefits of this product, Shaklee makes a contribution to brain research. So it's really a very exciting challenge to let's set a goal to bring MindWorks to 1 million minds. Really lovely idea. And click. So Joe, you want to do this one? No, you don't. Okay, so All right, I'm here. Shaklee's given us some great resources to help us in this promotion also, so that right now, going through the end of December, people can join free with a MindWorks pack. And for those of us who do the sponsoring, we get some little goodies there with a MindWorks water bottle. And if you sponsor 6 new members, you get the water bottle and a challenge T-shirt. And then the top 5 sellers will be featured at the, based on personal group volume, they will be featured on that Shaklee Live conference in Cleveland next year. Nice. Yeah, nice. Really nice idea. Yeah. And now they have, I really have to change the slide because they've just changed that when somebody does sponsor with MindWorks, not only do they get free membership, they also get free shipping, and that now I believe goes till the end of December.
That's what I heard,
because of the big news about Dr. Phil. Mm-hmm. So I'll change that next week, and then we have this wonderful sponsoring promotion also going on, that when we generate 25 sponsoring points in a month, in October, in November, or December, we receive a $250 gift certificate for Tiffany's. And so we've already had one or two people have already qualified for that.
Yeah.
And the debate they're having now is, should they buy something for the $250 or wait, do it again, and make it a $5?
I would do it again and go in with a lot of money.
Yes.
But you know what? I don't buy a lot of jewelry or artwork, but when I do, it's when I want to, it's when I associate it with a very special trip or a very special memory, and whatever it is that you decide to purchase with at Tiffany's, I will tell you, every time you look at it, every time you wear it, every time you see it, you will remember the effort that you made and how good that felt to achieve that. Because 25 sponsoring points is a very ambitious goal, and I think it's a wonderful and due reward for that effort. Okay, and then we talked about making a video, which I'm still on my list to do here.
We can show it some Thursday morning and get people ripped,
that's what I'll do, right? Okay, and next, click. Okay, and Joe?
The new members register online. When they register online with one of these 12 qualifying product regimens or kits, they will get the free shipping offer, plus they get the free membership. So, and what's really nice is we've got something here from every product line, so people are not restricted or channeled into specific products that they may or may not be real excited about starting with. This way they have a lot of choice in what they're in what they're doing.
And they're wonderful. Yeah. Okay, now I put this in because there's been so much sponsoring going on in the last 2 months that I want to remind everybody that auto ship is a very convenient program that Shaklee offers people who know what they like to use and want to continue to have it come to their house. They don't have to remember every month to have to go to the internet and order it. And there are significant discounts that you get on quite a number of products. I haven't added them up, but it's at least 10, I think. It's usually the ones that have the silver caps, by the way, is one of the secrets of remembering which ones qualify for it. But when you're the one who's doing the sponsoring, remember that when you sponsor somebody, if you put that initial order of theirs on AutoShip, then they will become automatically the managers of the AutoShip, and you must let them know that. Otherwise, their AutoShip will arrive, and they will not receive any notification about it. And I'm very sensitive about that because we're hitting their credit card. So, but it also is a way that kind of forces us, in a way, to give good service to our members, because when we sponsor somebody new, really ideally, we're going to want to be calling them a week after they receive their products and make sure they received it okay, make sure that, see if they have questions, make sure they've actually opened the package, opened the bottles, whatever it is, and just give them a little guidance about that. And then to call them again a week before their AutoShip would be due to go out and just show them how they can manage that. So walk them through how they, activate their member center and how they can add items. And that's our opportunity to teach them every month about one or two additional products timely for that time of year. So, but this is really important. That's why we want to insert that slide. Anything you want to add, Lisa? Or
well, I think most people just don't like that kind of surprise. So I agree with you. It's important that they be prepared, because no matter how much they're loving the products, if they get a surprise order, they're not going to be so happy with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you, Barb. I take it very seriously, and I think probably one of the reasons I got way more adamant about the new member appointment for us, because that's like the number one thing the first bullet point in a new member appointment is to make sure that they've activated their account and they know how to manage their auto ship, because you just want them to assume that responsibility and not be mad at you, basically, because it's no fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to look at it as an opportunity, as Barb was saying, to start good follow-up. It shouldn't be a burden for us to contact people about this.
Mm-hmm. And I want to thank Linda Causey, who's on with us this morning, because she has a lot of people on AutoShip, and you can also opt to have you be the manager of AutoShip. And that's one of the things that we do. And then if we're worried that don't want to take the risk of it being shipped without us being able to reach that person, we just temporarily suspend it after it goes out. And that way nothing goes out without you knowing about it. That's good. Okay. And then our next slide.
Ta-da! Shaklee MindWorks on Dr. Phil, the week of November 17th. This is really an exciting promotion, I think, that Shaklee has in place, and it's a way for us and our teams to introduce Shaklee and MindWorks to a much wider audience. And anytime, I think, we know what happened when the Get Clean products were on Oprah,
yes.
And now we have the same exposure coming with Dr. Phil. And in case you aren't clear about it, the viewers who are watching that show will get a show special of the MindWorks pack, 2 bottles of MindWorks for $99.90, plus they get free membership and free shipping. And then for those who purchase through the show, they will be assigned to a Shaklee director who has sponsored 2 new members within the last 3 months and is registered for the Cleveland Global Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's important that we are aware of those requirements. Go ahead, Lisa.
Well, I did want to just add, I wanted a little clarification myself, but I saw Lee Borderline posted on it yesterday on the Sharing Shaklee site, or the Shaklee Effect site. They want to make sure that your email address is just assigned to you. So for me, like for a lot of years, not so much now, I would put my email address in for some of my elderly members and stuff like that. So Lee said you must go through and make sure that your email address is not associated with any other ID but your own, because that will make you ineligible. So I think for a lot of the newer people, that wouldn't be the case, but for me, it's definitely something I need to go back and clean up. So,
good point.
Yeah,
that's a very good point. I didn't know about that. So just to review, really be clear. There are 5 things we want to make sure are in place, and I put the email on there. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Number 1. Now, this is a big one. We have been saying since we started this semester that our goal was to help everyone who was joining us on Thursday mornings to reach the rank of director within the first 90 days, and have that be, the 90-day goal was to get everybody to director. However, which would have been the end of November. However, I would suggest that we mooch that up, if possible, to October, because that is one of the requirements. See, and you understand why Shaklee is doing this. We have thousands and thousands of Shaklee distributors, and some are more active than others, which is wonderful. We love that everybody can be who they are all the time, and they can be at whatever level they want to be in their business, but Shaklee wants to know who is active in their business, who is going to call these leads, who's going to send them information and newsletters and really service them. And so being a director, number 1, and then having a personal website that you want to make sure is updated, and then people who have sponsored at least 2 people in the last 3 months. That's that shows you're active and you're sharing information with Shaklee. So just be sure that you've done that. And then, to Lisa's point, just be sure you have your email on file and it's only with you and nobody else. And then register for the Cleveland Global Conference by the end of October. And we've put our feelers out for you get that $199 rate for that when someone has a 10-pack or when you attend a regional, but the regionals come too late to be on top of this. So I had sent a suggestion to the company that they might want to adjust that, give people a special deal in October for that, but nothing's come through. So in the meantime, what we'll do is when we get 10 people who need it, we'll buy a 10-pack and let everybody get it at the $199 price. So just kind of pool your resources around that, and let's get everybody registered for Cleveland. Yeah. And by the way, Cleveland is going to be an event to attend. That's going to be a very special. This year will go down in history as the Cleveland event. There will be 10,000 people, maybe more, at that Cleveland event. People are talking about renting buses, and
wow.
I mean, really, it's going to be a very special event. So that's something we want to be a part of. Okay, Joe?
Yep. Yes. And now, but we don't want you to sit and wait till November 17th, because I think we can, and Barbara and I have talked about this quite a bit this week, we can get a ton of mileage out of the Dr. Phil Show exposure. And tools and training are being developed so that we can take full advantage of this. You could get a Shaklee logo shirt. You can make sure, go in, shape up your personal website that it is featuring this. Get your team in place, get them organized, get your emails ready, get handouts printed that the company will be coming out with, I think, relatively soon. And Clint McKinley, our Vice President of Training, I believe, made this statement on Facebook on the Shaklee Effect page. However, remember that of all the people, now this is really critical, I think, of all the people who came in as a result of the Oprah showing with Get Clean, those that came in through organic reach outs as opposed to cold leads from the show had a 10 times higher retention rate.
So let's translate that corporate speak. Organic reach out means you personally, I don't know where they got these, you personally speak to somebody and tell them about the beautiful philosophy behind Shaklee products and behind Get Clean products and so on. It's actually talking to people. That's what that's about.
And not talking via email or voicemail messages. I mean, those can all call people's attention to something, but it's the eyeball-to-eyeball communication that you have with people. You really, that is the
so
most valuable.
we wanted to give you just a couple of dialogues that may be helpful, because I got to thinking about this, and you know what? I don't care if people actually see it or not. The fact that it is taking place already has given tremendous credibility and exposure to this. So what I was thinking about doing right now is something like this, is calling some of my customers and saying, you may have been seeing some of the information that we've been sending regarding this new product called MindWorks that Shaklee introduced a few months ago. Have you seen some of that material? Well, that product has been so effective. The reports have been so inspiring about improved memory and cognitive ability and quickness of mind and focus and even moods that it is now going to be featured on a Dr. Phil program in November. And there is a special promotion now to help introduce people to MindWorks. Would you like to hear about it? And then you say, for people who are not yet Shaklee members, they can receive a free membership with the 15% discount that goes with it, and free shipping too, and all for the purchase of just 2 bottles of MindWorks. So I wanted to ask, who may come to mind for you who you think would want to know about this product? So this is a great way to ask for referrals. And if they are existing members, you can say, because if they're not yet a member, you can offer them the deal with the free shipping and the free membership. If they're existing members, you can say, and for every bottle of MindWorks sold, Shaklee is making a contribution to the much needed research on brain health and on Alzheimer's prevention. Would you like to try it? Okay, there's one dialogue. Okay, dialogue number 2.
We can do this because the same show special that will be offered on Dr. Phil is currently available to us for sponsoring people.
Right, it's exactly the same
it's
thing.
Exact same, right? It's the same.
Only the difference is, if you sponsor them now,
they're yours
you
for
get the TV
sure.
and you get the differential in the pricing. If you wait, and it has to go through the Dr. Phil and all the expense that's around that, then that goes to the company initially in order to provide you with to get the lead. So this is a great option. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a conversation, let's say with someone that you've wanted to approach about Shaklee, they are not yet a member, to call and just say, I've got some exciting news to share. At Shaklee, we have a new revolutionary product called MindWorks that it improves cognitive function and memory, and people are getting wonderful results with it. And I love it because there's some really great sound science behind it. And we're thrilled because this product's going to be featured on the Dr. Phil program in the week of November 17th. And I'm contacting my friends and family and people that I know to tell them about a special promotion that is running to introduce people to this product. May I tell you about it? Well, here's what it is. When someone purchases 2 bottles of our MindWorks, they receive free membership, which gives them an immediate 15% discount, not only on MindWorks, but there are a gazillion other wonderful, amazing Shaklee products I suspect they will also want to know about. And then they get that free membership, 15% discount, free shipping, so they save another $9. And I'm very interested in the feedback on this product because already people are reporting better memory and focus, improvement in moods and concentration, and there's a better blood flow to the brain, which reduces the risk of Alzheimer's. So all the news is good on this one. And I wanted to just check with you to see who you may know, who may come to mind for you that you think would want to know about this promotion.
Nice.
Okay, so gives you a
guys are good.
Couple of dialogues there, just some phrasing that may be helpful for us.
Yeah.
So, okay, Joe, let's get rolling. And this morning, we are going to be. This is a program designed for our analyticals. We're going to talk numbers, but don't worry, the expressives were standing by and sprinkled in a few other things. We've got some. But and in fact, let me pause this for 1 second. And Sandy, I want to see if I can hear you.
Yeah, I was going to check her before too.
And I can't hear her. Okay, I thought I unmuted her, but Sandy.
I don't see her on here. Oh, there she is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either Sandy's going to tell her story or we are. Okay. But anyway, we're going to be talking about some of the strategies, especially at entry level, and understanding the numbers of the comp plan. And we have some very surprising numbers for you I think you'll be impressed with. And we want to tell you our leaders joining us today, our senior coordinator, Katie Odom. Katie, are you there? We haven't tested your audio either. Katie?
I just know I just sent her the...
Hello?
Oh, there she is. Good morning, Katie. And
good morning, I'm here.
Okay, Yay. Good. And Katie is juggling babies this morning, and so Katie Odom is senior coordinator. She, in her group, she has downlines that are growing so rapidly. She has 2 of them who, between the 2 of them, they have sponsored 10 new distributors in the last 5 weeks. And we're going to be inviting them to join us hopefully next week so we can share with you what they're doing. And then Senior Executive Coordinator Lisa Anderson, who also so Katie had a new director last month. She'll have 2 more in October. And Lisa Anderson, Senior Executive Coordinator from the Denver area, and she had a new director last month as well. We want you to know these 2 leaders, we are blessed to have them because they are fully in the soup. They are growing their businesses now, and they have a lot to share. So thank you for helping lead our sessions on Thursday morning. So with that, let's get started. Lisa, Lisa?
Woohoo! And boy, am I excited about this session because you guys have done a fantastic job at really putting this in such a simple, I think, comprehensible manner. So it's going to be good. So our objectives today are to help all members attending reach the rank of director by the end of November. But as Barb said, you might want to consider cranking it up a little quicker because October is really the time to go out to maximize your eligibility for the Dr. Phil Leads. We want you to understand the specific income generated from developing a Shaklee customer base and the residual income over time. So we're going to break that down because it's very helpful, I think, to wrap your head around, first of all, what is residual income and what are the payoffs for developing your 2,000 PV base. We want you to understand the specific income generated from developing a director. So it's going to be a fun day because we're going to go through these numbers and show you exactly what's waiting for you as you move into these next ranks. Learn how to coach a new distributor how to maximize their income from the Dream Plan. So we'll talk specifically about that, power bonuses, and helping them get some good income right out of the gates. And then to just, in general, overall, understand the business concept of leverage and some business principles. So it's going to be a great day. I'm excited.
Katie.
All right. So we have principles of residual income. We talk about this a lot in Shaklee, residual income. But to be honest, when I first heard that term, I was like, what does that mean? And so the basic gist of what residual income is that we are being paid in the future for work that you do today. A lot of the work that we do in Shaklee, when we plant seeds and when we get a new distributor up and running, or when we begin to become a distributor ourselves, requires a lot of time and energy and effort, and that work will pay off in our future. And so we're going to talk about that. And one of the most financially rewarding aspects of Shaklee is this whole concept of residual income. And residual income is generated in two different ways. One of the ways residual income is generated is through leadership bonuses, which we'll talk about in just a minute, and then also through personal group bonuses generated from our customer-based TV.
All right, so let's... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, let's look at the residual income effect from developing a customer base. So this is going to be income as a 2,000 PV director with a 2,000 PV customer base. It's just because the numbers are easy to work with, but we want you to grasp the full potential here. When you become a director, you earn 20% on that base, so that's $400. Then you're also going to get the pricing differential, which is 15%. So this is the difference between member price and director price, another $300. So your bonus check is going to be $700. Now, if you look at that in 1 year, 700 times 12 months, that's $8,400 in a year. That is a pretty awesome amount of money for taking the time to develop a group of families, and we've talked about this in the past. Sometimes it's 20 families, sometimes it's 30, 35, but you're developing a group of families that know about Shaklee, that love the products and use them every month, right? Look at this. Over 10 years, $84,000. So that's kind of a fun thing to think about. What could you do with $84,000 extra dollars just by taking the time to develop a Shaklee 2,000 PV consumer base? So one of the cool things that we want you to think about is also the significant tax breaks. This is a big deal, and taking the time to develop this consumer base can really bring some amazing benefits in that area as well. All right, so another way of explaining residual income is, and I've heard this a couple times and it really helped with me. So if you look at the basis for this, this is how it goes. Work, 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 get a check. Work, work, get a check. Work, get a check, get a check, get a check.
I love it.
That is really the essence of our business, as opposed to the typical business model, which is work, get a check, work, get a check, work, get a check, work, get a check, don't work, don't get a check, right? And that's it. Boom, you're done. The clock is off, the pay is off, and that's it. So it's really a fantastic thing we get to invest in when there's this get a check, get a check, get a check thing going on, and that's really what we want. So whatever is your goal, is you want to earn whatever, your goal is trying to do that. You want to either take a few months or a few years, you just really need to lay the foundational work, and that pay starts to come in. So I like to tell people we lay a foundation for like a money-making machine, because we create this entity that will generate money for us, but we've got to lay it down, right? So as long as you stay in contact and give good customer care, the work you do today is going to continue to pay you 10 years, 20 years for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you have to maintain your monthly volume. So we start to work. So we can
Good. Nicely done, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right. So what does some of that work look like? Lisa, I love that you pointed out that a lot of the work that we do at the beginning is maintaining.
Barb, yeah?
I've lost the picture.
Oh, for Pete's sakes. Okay, I will go. Keep going.
All right.
We don't panic. I will go find my slides. Okay.
Go ahead, Katie.
I love what Lisa said about making sure that we have good customer care, and I've always loved how Lisa uses that word customer care, because that is what we are to people. When we follow up, sometimes we, for example, I followed up with somebody on a Get Clean kit. Hey, how are you liking the cleaners? Tell me about it. And she's like, wow, I just can't get my laundry pump to work. And so we have to sort through that. I mean, if I hadn't followed up with her, who knows, she might have given up on the pump and just decided, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with this laundry because I can't figure out how to pump it out. And so that customer care that we do at the beginning is going to help establish lifelong customers and lifelong distributors, which is our goal always when we have a new customer. So what does this look like? After you develop, as Lisa went through, the 2,000 PV director business, our next goal would be to increase our volume to 3,000 PV. So,
Katie, could I interrupt? I'm sorry to interrupt for 1 second. Joe, if you can see if it will allow you to change to my screen. I have my slides up.
Okay. Let me see here.
Hold 1 second, because Katie, I want them to see your numbers as you're explaining this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this is a good visual day.
We have had technical difficulties with this. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah, now put it on slideshow.
Oh, now put it on slideshow, and everybody's happy. Okay, keep going, Katie. I'm happy. Okay, go ahead, Katie.
Just move it ahead.
I'll click them up. Okay, good.
All right. So there are two different ways of increasing our volume to 3,000. We can either build 3,000 with more customers, or we can develop an associate and duplicate yourself. So what would this look like? To develop a 1,000 PV associate would look like your 2,000 PV customer base at 20% plus your price differential of $700. And then when you have an associate of 1,000 PV, that increases your volume to 3,000. And then if you multiply that by 20% that you're getting at the director level, that's $200. But then we're going to pay out our associates at the 1,000 for doing all the work that they did at 12%, because at 1,000 PV they get 12% back. So we're going to subtract that, and then we're going to get a net bonus of $780 just by developing one associate.
Nice.
So what happens to your monthly income as you identify business partners and develop new distributors? We want to develop a long-term, big picture of what an entrepreneur, not a paycheck mentality that we talked about. So you work X amount of hours, you get paid this. Or when you don't work, then you don't get paid. One of the best things about Shaklee is that everybody in business is going to have things that come up in their life, and they're going to have to take a brief period of time where they're just going to maintain their business, and you're going to continue to get paid. I loved that when I had Caleb, and I continue to get paid even though my hours of working were less. And you can't find that in many other businesses. So at 2,000, remember we're getting that 20% PV volume bonus back, and $400 if all PV comes from all of our customers, if you don't have any associates. But if you have a distributor who sponsors their friends or new members, they get paid the percentage of PV they contribute to your total volume. For example, at Director, remember we get paid at 20%, but then if your associate makes it to 1,500 PV, they're going to get paid 14% PV bonus. So then you would net 6%. How do we come up with 6%? 20 minus 14 is 6. And then let's say that your associate gets to 1,000 PV. They're going to get paid out at 12%, and so then you would net 8%. And let's say your distributor gets paid at 8% when he or she reaches 500 PV, then you would net 12%. And then finally, at your 250 PV level, they will get paid 4%, and then you would net 16%. So that's just a breakdown of what it looks like when you have an associate or when you have a distributor, how they are paid out. All right, so understanding leverage and the power of duplication. This is really important. Associates develop 500 PV from their customer, then their income is $500, and then, 500 PV, and then they get the 8%, so that's $40, and then they develop someone, and that adds to theirs 500 PV, so then you're at 1,000 PV, so then you're getting 12% back, which is $120. So you subtract the bonus from the distributor. For example, at 500 PV, you get the $40, and that leaves the associate with $80, and they've doubled their paycheck.
But I think, Katie, if I could just say that one of the important concepts here, you double your paycheck, but instead of having to go out and find another 10, 15, 20 customers, you have found one person and you're working with them. So you've duplicated yourself, and it creates that leverage aspect.
And it never ends. That never ends because that new distributor develops, let's say, 5 to 10 new customers and a new distributor, and then that distributor develops 5 to 10 new. So that is the power of duplication when you get a new business or a new associate. That is what's amazing. So there's a really great.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, there's this famous quote, because this concept takes a little time to get your mind wrapped around, because we're used to that paycheck mentality you were talking about in the previous slide, is that when sometimes you give up temporary income to somebody else who's helping you, in effect, to generate all the volume in your, what they call your personal group now. And they call it your personal group because it's you plus little clusters of other customers that people know, and that's why referrals are so important. And that concept came way back around the time of J. Paul Getty, one of the richest people in the country, probably the world at the time. And he said, I would rather earn 1% from 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. He understood and introduced the whole idea of duplication. Everybody good here? Anything else anyone wants to say? Okay. And so, Joe, we pulled up some kind of well-known phrases and quotes from entrepreneurs. Yeah, you want to talk about some of these?
Well, this first one, entrepreneurship, this is so true. It's living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. And we personally saw that happen in our own lives, and it's true.
It's true.
And I don't know who.
I found this one. It says, when you stand and share your story in an empowering way, your story will heal you, and your story will heal somebody else.
Nice.
I love that, because you never know when you share your story who needs to hear it, whether it's your business story or your health story. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, if we wait until we're ready, guess what? We'll be waiting for the rest of our lives.
That's a message to our amiables present, our analyticals present. This advertising has come to you, yes. Okay, and the last one I love.
Now, you said that's a lion, and it doesn't look like a lion.
It's a lion.
It is.
Like that. And anyway, it's the idea of being in charge and... All right, we'll go to the next one. Okay, look what I found. Seek new horizons. I found that this is
great.
Once upon a time, we believed the world was flat, that beyond a certain point there would be nowhere to go. And though we now know the world is round, we still fear falling off imaginary edges, too often thinking there's only so far we can stretch, so hard we can push. The most dangerous limits are those in our own head. When you feel you're at your edge, look again. You can go farther. All right, Lisa.
All right, so that brings us to the principle of duplication, and that begins when we develop our first associate. So now we have discussed this principle, and we're going to look at how to move that associate to director so that we'll start to advance to the next rank. So step one, and we reviewed this, you develop your 1,000 PV associate, and basically you are at your 3,000, you have net bonus of 780 because you paid them out at 120. Step two, now you're going to take that associate and you're just going to do the same thing again. You're going to duplicate their 1,000 so that they have 2,000 PV, and they're going to promote to director. So basically what's going to happen is you will have your 2,000 PV base and your differential, so you have your $700 bonus. Then you're going to get a leadership bonus on your new director of 120. So now you have given yourself a pay raise every month of a minimum of $120. You're leveraging their work. Step three, this is going to be where it gets really fun. So now you're going to qualify for the car payment. So you're going to work and get your base group of consumers up to 3,000. Do this as fast as you can. It just makes such good sense. You're going to get 20% on that. You're going to get the 15% differential. That's going to bring you to $1,050 right there. Now, how many people, when they first start out and they set their goals, they set their goal for an extra $1,000 a month?
That's right.
Here it is. Here it is. So this is what it looks like. You getting your base group to 3,000 and you having a first level director. But look what else happens. You're getting the leadership bonus at 6%, and the car payment kicks in at $225. So now you're looking at a bonus of $1,395 because you have participated in duplication.
That's right. So we wanted to take the time to do the numbers so you understand the process on the way up. Is temporarily some of your income is being paid out to these associates, to these distributors on their way up. But you see, in the end, it nets you the higher level. So you've gone from $700 a month now to $1,400 a month. You doubled your income. Katie.
Yeah, and I just want to add, somebody in Shaklee once told me before I qualified for a car, they said, wait until you qualify for a car, and the way that your family and friends will view your Shaklee business will change. And I have seen that over and over again when people have said, that's your Shaklee car? In fact, just recently I ran into a family that I grew up down the street with, and we pulled into Costco, and she said, is that your Shaklee car? And I said, yes, I'm so thankful, and just, a little bit about Shaklee. And then she turned to her daughter, who's around my age, and she said, you should be doing this. We couldn't believe it. But I think a lot of times when we get into business, especially with other companies and different things like that, Shaklee is so generous with allowing people at a very lower level to get those car bonuses, and people will start to view your business differently. They'll see that this is something huge, and this is a huge potential. I also love with this whole duplication that you can't find this with other companies because our products run out and because people need our products. And that's what I love when we have a customer and they order every month, you're continually getting paid from them in the work that you did to help share the Shaklee difference with them. So I just wanted to add that. But as Lisa talked about with the value of appointing a director, remember that now we get a leadership bonus of 6%. And so that would be $120 a month, and then when we multiply that by 12 months for the year, that's $1,400 that we get a year. And over 10 years, that is $14,400 that we would get all from just developing one director. That's huge. And if you have a director at 3,000 PV and you get 6% leadership bonus back, that increases to $180. And then when you multiply that by 12, that's $2,160 a year. And over 10 years, that would be $21,600. So the question is, how many directors would you like to develop? You have to think about that. How many? Let's see here. So let's say you have 3 directors At 3,000 PV, that would be $21,600. And then you multiply that by 3, and that would be $64,800 over 10 years, all by developing 3 directors. And then you add in your customer base income at 3,000 PV to these leadership bonuses. Your monthly income is $1,550 plus $180 of that leadership bonus. That's $1,330 a month. You add the car payment, which I will tell you that car payment adds a great amount to your paycheck. That brings you to an additional $225 a month for a grand total of $1,555 a month.
Mm-hmm. And I want to point out, we're using minimal numbers here.
Yes.
We are understating this. If you get a hybrid car, what is it, Joe, $250?
Yes.
I think they get a month. And we're talking about 2,000 PV, 3,000 PV. But in essence, the goal is always to get everybody up to 5,000 PV because of the substantial income that comes with that. So we're talking about very entry-level positions as people are making this kind of money at the beginning as they're getting started. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to mention here?
Good job.
Okay. And Katie, you just want to make the point about?
Yes. So our first objective would be to get to the director level. So at the director level, we're starting to get the 20% PV volume bonus and the price differential back. And then our next goal would be to get to senior director when you can qualify at 5,000 PV organizational volume. You can start qualifying for the car bonus. Then when you develop 2 directors, you reach coordinator level. And what's really amazing, what happens at senior coordinator level, this is when infinity bonuses begin. And infinity bonuses are extra bonuses that you get on your leaders. And that 2, 4, however, what the percentage is it 2% at senior?
It starts at 2.
2%, okay. That made a big difference for me when I started getting those infinity bonuses. At first I thought, 2 doesn't seem like that much, but really that adds a lot to your percentages when you start getting
hundreds of dollars a month. That's good. So it just shows all this income that we've been showing you has only been in step 1 and 2. And we haven't even
all this other.
Yeah. So look at the how the income rises as you go up there. Very good. Thanks.
Also, very clear. Very clear with the Shaklee business model that, you do this, you get this. Do this, you get this. There's no guesswork there.
Yeah, it's not just kind of hoping to get lucky type stuff. So
exactly.
Very good. So this is, I think, a fun concept for me to talk about because this is really what we're seeing. So as your downline leaders mature, this is the leadership thing we talk about a lot. Your workload lessens and the income increases. So there's like a corner you turn in your business when you're working, you're focused, and you're laying the foundation and you're getting things going, but it catches, if that makes sense. And so this is Robert Kiyosaki. We talk about him a lot. Brilliant businessman. He says, change your focus from making money to serving more people. Serving more people makes the money come in. This is a Dr. Shaklee quote, too. He said, see the people and you can't stop the money, right? So we want...
It's interesting when you hear those quotes coming from the business guys.
Right.
He, by the way, is the one who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then he wrote the Business School, isn't it called, Joe? The Business School, I think. But those are, I recommend his books. It's very good. But he is a major advocate of residual, of starting businesses that provide residual income, and he is a big advocate of network marketing.
Yeah.
And that brings us to Sandy Dietrich.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Hi, nice. Sandy.
Hi.
Joe, you want to introduce Sandy?
Yes. Sandy Dietrich is one of the star leaders in our organization and has been doing Shaklee for a number of years, and her story is very interesting because Sandy's one of those people who's come in, worked hard, established her core business, has taken a little time off and then come back and taken some more time off and come back. And so Sandy, and Sandy's she's a mother of 4 children. She has homeschooled in the past, active in her church and community. So Sandy, tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Do you want me to do here the part
You
where I
want to go
came
to the
in?
other one first? Yeah, we can. Let me see right there. You want that one first?
Yeah, this would be
Okay,
good.
sure. Mm-hmm.
When my son was 2, I got involved in Shaklee and started working towards becoming a director, and we became directors in 1995. And I didn't read what you wrote here. I didn't see the slides ahead of time.
Oh,
Just give me
why
a
would we send
second.
you the slides ahead of time, right?
Surprise! Oh,
Just you don't
sorry,
have
Lisa.
to do those.
No,
You
I'm
can-
good.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
So yeah, we fell in love with the products, fell in love with the opportunity, and in the first few years, built our business to about $25,000 a year. And after that time, I had 3 more kids. So we became directors in like 1995. I had a 3-year-old and a baby. And then we earned the car in 1997. I had another baby and started homeschooling. And then in 2000, I had another baby.
Whoa.
Was still homeschooling, teaching Sunday school on the library board. And I know we're all busy, but I just say that because sometimes we look at somebody else and we think their life was easy, or they didn't have the struggles I had. And then in 2005, we built our home in the country on 8 acres, have a huge garden, and I was still involved in homeschooling, teaching Sunday school on the library board, et cetera, et cetera. So life happens, like we've already heard today. And yet those first few years when I built to 25,000 PV and I had a few directors and I maintained that for like 10 years with all the things going on in my life, that residual income, that base that I built has sustained and been like the foundation of my business ever since. And as you can see by the blue line, I mean, I go up and down, up and down. I call it the Shaklee dance. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 more steps forward, 1 step back. And, something neat about calling it a Shaklee dance is you do have to enjoy the journey and not get, I think for me it was so easy for me to think I'm not where I want to be, I'm not doing as much as I want to do. And so I would feel frustrated or maybe I didn't move ahead as well as I could because I was always thinking of those negative things. And I know so many times Gary and Joe would say, oh, you need to tell people your story. And I think, but I'm not where I want to be. So
Yeah.
looking back, and go ahead and go to the next slide.
Oh, there's another slide.
Before
like
you do that, I
that
want
one?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Go back. What were you going to say, Joe?
Well, I just wanted to point out that even though the Shaklee dance, we work hard, we achieve things, and then we maybe take a little time off. The business seems to go down a little bit. If you look at that green arrow, your trajectory has always been upward. You're always moving upward.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's
and it's a
yeah, that's-
zigzag up. But so what? You netted out at 23. You're over $50,000.
right.
Well, that's a heck of a wonderful dance, I would say. Okay,
Yes.
let's go. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I looked, you on your bonus statement, it always says how much you've earned. They've kept track since the year 2000, I think. And I saw this number, 473,000, and I'm not a numbers person, but I can figure this out. That was 14 years, and there's 52 weeks in a year. So for 728 weeks, if you take that number, 473,000, and divide it by the number of weeks that it's taken me to earn that amount of money, that came out to $650 a week for 14 years. Now that's average, I know.
Wow.
But I started thinking, now some weeks I worked 5 hours. So that was $130 an hour. Some weeks I maybe worked 10. That was $65 an hour. Some weeks maybe I worked 20. That was still $32 an hour.
That's good.
And there were times I did nothing but, serve my customers maybe 1 hour a week, $650 an hour.
What a perspective. Wow.
I think it just opened my eyes to what I have, the residual income, how powerful that is. My degree's in early childhood education, and I would never, I wouldn't say never. It's hard to get that kind of money in that field. And so I just encourage people to focus on, like that residual income and what you can do, what you can build. That when I had babies, I didn't do anything for months, or when we built our home or whatever, and yet I never missed a paycheck each month for, since 1995.
All those years.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
Right.
example.
And so your income now is somewhere in the mid 50,000s.
Right. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I just think that, and one of the highlights of your Shaklee journey was when you qualified for the Kenya Special Achievers trip. And
Yes.
Sandy shared with us what that experience was. That was 2 years ago now, right, Sandy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was before Paris and before Bali, right? I mean, they've had some wonderful, wonderful places that they have taken the high achievers. And Sandy shared her experience with us and some slides, and that is archived in our in our, I think, I can't remember what our session was then. I think that would have been spring of 2012.
Yeah.
Maybe 2013. But you may want to go and hear that. I just so appreciated what that experience was for you, Sandy. And this is why we want people to see this, is that you work now, wherever you are now, at whatever pace you want to work now, that this is what you're building is your future here. And we want to show you, I just asked a couple of our business leaders to shoot me their current monthly bonus check facsimile that we get. Laura Toso, who built her business, I think she said 16, 18 years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. And Laura had a master's degree in audiology. And I remember after 1 year in Shaklee, her income part-time in Shaklee was more than her full-time income as a full-time audiologist with a master's degree. And then, she had 3 kids. She did the same thing Sandy described. There was a period of time when she was in a maintenance mode, and even now it's probably the lowest checks that she has received because of some other things that she had to be about. She has aging parents, the whole thing. And her last check was still $2,200, and her cumulative income since 2000 was $574,000. It's like amazing. Yeah. And look at Pam Carey did the same thing. Her check for October was $3,354, $3,300 she received. And she said her first check 16 years ago was $76. And she said, and she was, she said, she got into Shaklee because her kids were sick, and she tells this funny story. We're going to have her on, but she tells this funny story about how she saved money buying Shaklee products instead of going into the department store to buy her skincare and her makeup, because she said on the way to the counter, to the skincare counter, she said you pick up 2 sweaters on the way in. But look at that, $344,000 she has generated with 5 kids and lots of. And here's Moira. Now she's had her largest check in October was $5,000 check. Nice. She's accumulated $265,000. So we just wanted you to just see how this works. So Lisa. Let's make the point here. So this is the slide we saw earlier.
Point. And let me just say, I got to meet Sandy in Kenya, and we will always have Kenya together. You make the best friends on these Shaklee trips, and we had so much fun. It was really a neat experience to get to do that with her. So here is my point. You have seen the slide on the income director. We've gone through all of those steps, and you might be saying, well, how on earth are we going to do that? How do we generate 1,000 people under associate? Where do I find that associate? Those are very good questions, and we're going to answer those for you. So Katie.
And Katie at some point has to leave to go to the dentist, so she's going to be in the car. So Katie, have you left yet?
I will do these 2 slides, and then I will head
And then you're on your way. Okay, very good. Okay.
All right, so we have how to create a 1,000 PV plan, and I am actually in the putting together it's called Income Producing Activities, with a list of all different ways to generate PV. And some of these include Facebook events, conference calls, inviting to wellness webinars, passing out CDs, 3-way calls, and in-home events. So I will get that to Barb so that we can email that out to everyone. But when we set a standard and we find a new business partner, once they've completed their evaluation, because it's important for them to come to a place where they see that Shaklee's the right fit for them. And right now we have a wonderful new website up and running called Better Future Starts Today. Is that right?
Yep, good. Mm-hmm.
All right, and they can see a lot of different materials to evaluate when it comes to Shaklee. Once they decide that it's a good fit, then we're going to lay out that 1,000 TV plan in their first or second month. 1,000 TV looks like 4 events, and then from those 4 events, having 5 new customers, so that's 20 new customers at 50 PV, and then you're at 1,000. When I was first trying to get to director, I did a lot of events. Some of them were in-person play dates. Some of them were a 3-way call. Some of them were actual events at a home. But I made sure that I did at least a couple each week so that I was growing and getting my TV up and finding business partners. So these are some steps to identify and attract business partners. In the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important skills to develop for success in attracting business partners is people skills, and this is so important along with communication skills. I am always trying to either read different articles and books, or I'm trying to listen to podcasts, or just by being on these Thursday trainings. I don't think I've missed a conference that we've had yet, because they're so valuable in growth, because you will learn how to communicate to people, how to talk to people, how to follow up with people. Your product knowledge will grow. If there's one advice that I have if you're trying to get to director, it's what we refer to as skill up, which means learn, grow. Try and find as many different resources as possible to grow in this area, because I know for me, I always need to improve my people skills and my listening skills, so I always love hearing different ways. And we have a wonderful session, number 6 for the fall, all about this, about connecting to others. Also, we learned what resource to send to someone evaluating the business, because now these are archived on betterfuturestartshere.com. And it's important also to set up a 3-way call with your upline or business leader when somebody's interested in the business, so they get another viewpoint and so that you can grow and hear how they communicate to someone who's interested in the business. And then once all that's done, we learn to coach them by making a list of people they know and whom they want to introduce to the product and business. And then we schedule a 2,000 TV planning session where we review each name and activities that will help generate 2,000 TV. And I will tell you, when you do that at the beginning of the month, it makes such a difference in how your month goes. I know the months where I haven't made a list and haven't figured out how I'm going to get there tend to be more stressful than the months where I have a clear plan of this is what I want, this is how I'm going to get there. I'm going to open up my calendar, I'm going to book 2-3 events a week, and this is what I'll do. And then you're going to plug them into training archives or to live sessions.
Very good.
Thank you. Go get shiny teeth now. Thank you. The reason,
no cavities.
Oh, no cavities. Right. So the reason that we put these 2 slides in is that when you look at that income of a senior director, we have to find that first level director, right? And so those are the 2 questions that come to mind: is how do I find them, and then how do I get them to 1,000? So this is how we've answered that. There's how you get them to 1,000. There's how you find them. It's everything that we have been doing in the first 6 sessions, actually, of this semester, is helping us develop the skills and knowing exactly what the steps are to guide somebody to director. Lisa.
Very good. So now we get to talk about our other objective, which is to help your new distributor maximize their income. And we're going to do this by talking about helping them generate that 1,000 PV, hopefully ideally in the first 30 to 60 days, but we're going to really utilize the benefits of the power bonus. So we're going to teach them how to qualify for a power bonus. And one of the things that I think is important is that sometimes people do need to have some evaluation time. So before they upgrade to distributor or gold ambassador, you want to get them positioned so that when they do, they understand that they are starting their power bonus phase. So when someone becomes a distributor or a gold ambassador, they enter their phase, and then the first 3 full months after that becomes their power bonus phase. Every time they accumulate 15 points, they get to earn a $150 power bonus. So these are exceptionally motivational, I guess, to help someone get up and going. So let's just walk through really quickly how those points come in. You get 1 point when a new member joins with a 50 PV order. You get 2 points when a new member joins with a 100 PV order, 5 for a gold distributor, a gold pack, and 10 for a gold plus pack. So you see how those work, and they all add together. Now here's a little bit of good news. Let's say you got a power bonus, but you still have 3 points or 5 points left over after getting that power bonus, and your power phase ends. Those sit there and wait for you, because every time you advance in rank, you get another power bonus phase, another 3 full months, and you get to add on to those existing points. I think that's generous, very generous.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's true. So you'll have those, nothing ever gets wasted for those OCD friends of mine. You get to keep it and hang on to it and build on to it. So there's a couple little other details you can see within the first 60 days of those orders. Those accumulate. Also, if they have a 100 PV auto ship for 3 months during the first 12 months, those points will double, okay? So there's a few rules between power bonus points that are a little different than earning trip points, but in general, it's the same system. Go to the tractor, get tractor. I always say tractor. You guys know I mean tractor.
You're the farm girl. Go to the tractor. Okay.
I know, for Pete's sakes. But go there and get familiar with those details. But really, this is a great, I think, simplistic thing you can do with every new distributor to focus on sponsoring, which we know is the lifeblood of our business, right? This is how.
And
we
how
get up and going.
exciting for them to get a $150 check. Which is paid out weekly. And by the way, when you are sponsoring someone, and this is why I like you to do the sponsoring, at the myshackley.com website, right in the middle it says sponsor someone, and you click on that. You'll see it gives you that option where it'll say initial sponsor and placement sponsor. Is that how something like
that.
Yes, that's it.
And you say, well, what is that about? Well, the computer can only track for power bonuses, can only track one person. It can't track a downline. So when you have a customer, somebody who is not developing a business, who's not eligible for a power bonus, put yourself as the initial sponsor, and then you can click them as the placement sponsor. It's just so the computer can register the points for you to get your power bonus. Very good.
Excellent.
Okay,
but
Lisa.
yet you can still utilize the brilliant strategy of building a nice little consumer base under that person so that you can someday in the future sit down and talk to them about what they've got going on, which is awesome.
Right.
All right. Roger Barnett, Understand the Power of a Network. It's just really, we have so many wonderful things that Roger shared with us, but he says, fall in love with Shackley and talk to people every day. It is the quantity of contact that creates the growth. So every day, add to your network, have a vision of how one person then talks to another, and your network grows like Facebook, from 2 million to 750 million within 2 years. Nurture your business every day, and you'll produce compound growth and a multi-generational business. So these are 2 phrases that I think we would all do very well to really make sure we know what they mean. What does compound growth mean? Many times I'll use the term investment because I understand that more. We invest into something that will grow and really grow on its own once you get it to a certain place of thriving, right? That momentum comes. Multi-generational business, one of my favorite aspects of Shackley. The work I'm doing today, right this minute, is going to benefit my great-great-grandchild. I really love that. It's incredibly motivating for me to know that everything I do, it doesn't disappear the minute I quit doing it. It continues to grow. So I also remember Roger talking about something called long-term wealth, which is something I'd never heard of until he talked about it. But understanding that what value we have in this thing here with Shackley is the long-term wealth, and the strength and the significance of that is not little. It's kind of
very
awesome.
Good. Very
All right.
good.
So to summarize, residual income is income that continues to be generated after the initial effort has been expended. So like royalties from writing a song or a book, I kind of mentioned it in the beginning, like laying the foundation of something that kind of gets a life of its own, and you take care for it, but it continues to do its thing, right? That's what we are sitting on here. Residual income is generated from creating a consumer base and by created from developing directors. The developing director piece is the true magic in the duplication factor of our business, which can, again, take on that exponential piece. It makes the most sense to learn the skills needed to do both of these things. And so that's one of the reasons we talk continually about developing directors in your consumer base. So work hard, dream big, and make it happen.
I want to just mention something about the residual income, if I could. And you, Lisa, where you said it's like the royalties from writing a song or a book. And we all know that song, I Will Love You Forever, that Whitney Houston made famous in the movie she did with Kevin Costner.
I will
Do you know
always
who that
love
was?
you.
Do you know who wrote that song?
I think I do. Dolly Parton, right?
Yes, and Dolly Parton says every Christmas she sells, or she did send Whitney Houston a Christmas card, because Dolly Parton made tons of money off that song because she was the original person. So those royalties went to Whitney Houston, but then they also went to Dolly Parton.
So there's a lesson in that. Let someone else sing your song.
Yeah, good point.
And then you just send them a Christmas card, right?
A Christmas card, right?
Well, on that note, I get a beautiful Christmas card every year from Carolyn Sparger. So I love you, Carolyn, if you ever hear this. And I did actually get to meet her in San Juan last year. I had never met her, and she's just hilarious.
Oh, she's a peach.
One of the funniest people in the world. Cracks me up.
Yeah.
Okay, action steps. Create a Shaklee Effect binder with stories and photos of real Shaklee leaders, their backgrounds, and their incomes. I've actually heard a few people talk about this. This is a really fantastic idea. And when I speak, and sometimes I work really hard, sometimes I don't, but I get the numbers and I create all this, the things I always hear people tell me is the stories I tell or that I've shared are the most impactful to them. This is the truth, and this is the same thing that's going to happen with the Shaklee Effect binder. So I think that's a great idea. Get a beautiful little binder, put some stories in there. It'll be an incredible benefit to you. Use the Dream Plan brochure to set your goals. When you start to crunch numbers like this, you get much more capable of not only understanding the plan, but then helping other people. So find a financial goal, get the rank, break it down, plan it out, and then you can help other people do that as well. It's really an important piece to knowing what we're doing. Create your plan of action. Share the concept of residual income. Katie said this, and it was the same thing for me. I heard that, and it meant nothing to me. I remember thinking for years, what does leverage mean now? What is a leverage? I don't understand. Get it. Understand the language. Talk about it. Share that, because it is a very powerful piece to what we're doing. And then you can say, I love this. May I ask you something? Do you know much about the concept of residual income? I just learned about it this week, and it's pretty fascinating. Do you want to hear about it? I will tell you, I'm 45 now, and pretty much every day I'm so thankful that even though I didn't know about it, I decided to participate in this thing, because it's huge, and it's really changed our lives. So that's how I would finish that thought up. Next slide. Prepare for the Dr. Phil lead, so become a director by the end of October if you possibly can. Register for Cleveland. I'm getting excited about that. I always kind of wish it was coming sooner. Check to see if your website needs attention, so kind of do a little house cleaning. Make sure if you haven't sponsored 2 people personally between August to October that you do that. And we have plenty of time to sponsor 2 people personally, especially with the specials going on. So just do it and get it done and be ready. And decide how many people you want to speak to about MindWorks this week. And the dialogue that was shared with us this morning by these gals was just brilliant. Really good stuff. So I'm just going to practice it. Yeah.
I'll attach those 2 dialogues to the email that I send out for the recap.
Great.
And I see someone is asking about that, and yes, these slides are archived at bobsfiles.net, and so that's why we write them out on the slides as well as have attachments there. So you can go get them at bobsfiles.net. This is called, what do we call this? Teaming Up Fall 2014. It'd be in that section. Okay, great. And then Joe, Shirley was asking if you would repeat the week and the issue of the week
it's
publication.
The magazine called The Week, October 24th, 2014. And what it just said is that brain scans showed that reduced blood flow in people with reduced blood flow to the brain, they were more likely to have developed memory problems.
That's so good.
Was the
And Jerry was asking, can we say reduces the risk of Alzheimer's? What makes Jerry was asking about, restrictions now. When you are on the internet, on Facebook, in visible places, what you say to an individual, that just be honest with them. But what you put out publicly, you don't want to link diseases with a company name, with a Shaklee product, but you can you can talk about cognitive decline. That's not a disease, but Alzheimer's is a disease. So we're all still trying to learn what the restrictions are. But it's when you're on the internet in a public place, that's when we want to be very mindful, because I have an issue about the whole thing when I hear what the pharmaceutical drugs do and how dangerous they are. That Enbrel and we had on Monday night and Humira, they say right on the cautions that they have been known to cause cancer and death, and nobody ever died from taking vitamins. I mean, it's just amazing to me how unbalanced that whole thing is. But we want to be careful in the meantime. What is the email to report new directors? Judy, you've got one. Joe, how do we want them to do that?
Well, they could send it to either you or me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Want to give them yours?
Yes. It's Coogan, COOGANJM, as in mother, 3525 @gmail.com.
Okay. And mine is LagoniHealth, Comcast.net. So Coogan, J as in Jonette, M as in Michael, and then what are those numbers?
Our house number.
Oh.
So you can send it through the mail if you want.
Right.
So I can remember it. I did that before mine was.
Yeah. Or now we're on Facebook. Not that we'll
Yes.
necessarily see it there, but yes, that's a possibility. Okay. Do new distributors get paid at DN or MN, Joe?
Depends.
That's my favorite answer, right? Okay.
It
There
really
you go.
depends on what you've decided to do or what your organization,
Well, it has to do with the differential and when you receive it.
Right.
So the Shaklee model pays out the differential. You just have to designate at what level. So if you have a associate at 12%, they get the bonus, but the differential, some groups pay that out after they get to director, and some do it at associate, some do it. So just work with your upline to see how you want to handle that. And when you get to be a director, you get to choose also.
However you want to do it. And yes, for anyone to receive money from Shaklee, they must have a distributor status.
Yes.
And
Shaklee
that's
doesn't-
required from the Internal Revenue Service, that the company is not allowed to pay out to anybody unless they have their Social Security number.
Right.
That's the reason for that, by the way. So they, because our IRS will want to tax them then if they earn a certain amount. Okay.
What is the difference between an associate and a distributor? Well, a distributor has 1,000 group volume.
An associate.
Associate, yes, I'm sorry.
That was a test to see if we were listening, Lisa.
Distributor is just a name that we use for someone who is not a member and not a director yet.
Yeah. But they've come in as a distributor. A distributor
Yes.
membership qualifies you to be a distributor.
Right.
So yeah.
But they may not be yet be an associate because they need 1,000 volume for that.
Right. Very.
I love Jennifer saying, I'm only semi-analytical. It's like, most of us are just semi-analytical. Yeah, they're all going to be archived. Okay.
Yeah, they'll be available.
Okay, Ann's question. Do you see that, Joe?
Yeah, is there a question there?
Ann says,
I'd appreciate hearing your languaging.
Go ahead.
For explaining why the 120 leadership bonus on a downline director is better than the 120 net from the 1,000 PV associate. Well, it's not so much that the $120 leadership bonus is better, but what's better is that you have a director, because that person can't develop directors until they're a director. So by appointing someone a director from associate, you start that duplication process.
Yeah, and that's the goal. The goal is to create a group of leadership that are all doing the same thing, so you're not having to do it. I remember the first weekend where I got to tell, I didn't have a meeting on the books, but I had 5 leaders doing meetings that weekend. And I sat home and smiled the whole time because I wasn't out doing it, but the work was being done. And that's the point, is you have to get the 1,000 PV associate before the 1,000 PV director, but the goal is to get the 2,000 PV director, because you want people doing what you're doing at the same time so that you have leverage. So I don't know if I just went on a tangent.
Yeah, well,
it came into my head.
Patty asks about the archives. Both the audio and the PowerPoints are at botsfiles.net. So you click on and advance the slides as you're listening to the audio.
Yeah, there you have to. She's not looking at it right, I think, because it's underneath where the slides are, where they would be, where you click.
Just scroll down a little further.
Yeah, it's in blue, and you'll see download. It'll say download, and then you'll see where the PowerPoint slides are.
And if you can get to a Better Future site, it's just one click and it all plays at the same time.
That's right. And Nisata Root, did I totally mangle your name? Those 2 websites, Better Health in 31 Days and Better Future, starts here. It starts today?
No, I think it's today.
Starts today. Okay. Well, eventually I'll learn the name of that website.
Starts today.
It starts today. Okay. Those are paid websites that allow us to compensate the webmaster who has to record these, edit them, post them, and maintain those sites. And it allows us to bring this material to you. So that's those sites you can subscribe to, I guess is the way to put that, or pool together, but those are really handy sites. And we just started the Better Future starts today because there are so many resources, and they're wonderful resources, but they are in 1,000 different places. Mm-hmm. And our time is so valuable that we wanted to put them in one website location of just the best ones. So we are just picking the best ones. In fact, Chris is capturing the ones on Mondays, and Lisa was the guest speaker last Monday.
Yay.
Fabulous job on that, by the way, Lisa.
Thank you.
And they do these. How long is the average business presentation, Lisa? Do you know?
30 minutes, and it goes right off of the Shaklee Effect PowerPoint that Shaklee has created, and everybody personalizes it a little bit to make it their own. But they're getting great feedback from them. Everyone who does it brings a little bit something different, and I know Shaklee is just getting great feedback from every single week. It's been good for them. So no slides on Monday, but thank you for those who heard me.
Yeah, I mean there should have been slides, but
anyway. Imagine how pretty the slides I made were.
Visualize. You got to visualize something. Okay. And Anne is asking about earnings for distributors when they start. Absolutely, we give all kinds of incentives to beginning distributors, absolutely. And free products is a very good idea because you not only get PV for them, but you also get a tax deduction for them. Because it's a business expense.
Becky Choate said she enjoyed hearing Sandy's story, inspiring for someone like me. Yeah. Inspiring for all of us.
Well, and Becky's is good too. I mean, you've got a very good, she has a very similar story. So we're gonna start bringing these stories to you next week. What are we calling it? The story behind the dream plan, I think we're calling it. Next week, and you're going to hear, there are some stories that many of you do not know about how Roger Barnett came to purchase Shaklee. I mean, there's some wonderful information there that you want to share when you're talking to people about the kind of company this is and how this billionaire genius businessman chose Shaklee from a whole lot of options, and he chose Shaklee and why, and had to work hard to get it. It wasn't available, and it's a very interesting story. And then we also are going to bring stories of people like Sandy's today. We're going to bring them to you because there are hundreds and thousands of them. And those of you who are new, that's one of the greatest advantages of joining a company that is almost 60 years old, because you can see what it isn't someone making promises about what kind of income you can make in the future. It's happening and has been happening for 55, 57 years. Mm-hmm. And you can see the proof of it. And then we're also going to bring you the stories of the new people who just started with the dream plan and the kind of income that they're making. So there's some, we'll be bringing those to you more and more, so you'll have those to share. Okay. Anything else, Joe?
Yeah, Barb, the password for the website, Better Future Starts Today, you get that password when you subscribe to Better Health in 31 Days. Those two websites are linked together.
Yeah.
So
Lisa,
not a password we can give out.
That's right. There isn't a password until you subscribe. Linda was asking about the points that they get when they sponsor somebody, and how that they have 60 days to accumulate the 50 PV, the 100 PV. For those, you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the very best place to do is get into your tractor. Just kidding. Get in the tractor and see how it lays out. But basically, there's a count. So when you sponsor someone, again, it's so generous on the part of our company. When you sponsor someone, they will count and accumulate, and it says 60-day PV. They will accumulate the PV, and if you haven't gotten to the 50 PV with the first order, if you get to 50 PV within that first 60 days, the point will click in. Same thing if you get to 100 PV, the point will click in. So sometimes I'll sponsor someone at 50, but then they place another order, and I will get that up. I call it an upgrade point. I don't know why, but I get the extra point for having 2 for 100 PV. So it's right there in the tracker. Just spend a little time, and you'll see. And once you get some people sponsoring, you can kind of watch it. That's the best way to learn, I think, all of those things is to watch it happening.
And what's nice about that is sometimes people are on budgets, so they can't put a large order in on the first order, but they can over the 60 days. That's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. It's Shaklee's way of basically incentivizing us, if that's the word, I think it might be, to be on top of our follow-up and make sure we're taking good care of that member so that they want to keep reordering and get into the habit of using Shaklee products. It's a great way to earn trip points too. That's really a fantastic benefit. So,
Melinda, good morning, Melinda. She says, Lisa, you look 35 when you said it.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
She says, wow, I want to look as good as you are when I grow young.
Oh,
That's cute. Oh, Melinda. Melinda's would be a good story to have her on and share her story. Okay. Mindy says, I found 3 others using my email address in my contact file and deleted per Katie's suggestion. Huh.
Good job. Yeah. See? You got to do that.
I didn't know that. Okay. Well, there aren't too many people named Lagoni, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem.
Barb, I'm just going to repeat one more time. If people want to be on the weekly recap that we send out with most of the time with some sort of attachments, they should just send me that request. Again, that's Coogan, COOGAN, JM, 3525@gmail.com.
Oh, there's so many comments today. Thank you all for your comments. Joe, you want to tell them about, they're asking about spiffing up their personal website? Patricia?
You want me to tell them about that? Well, go to the Member Center and get into your personal website.
That's right. And just see if
Fix it.
if it says what you wanted to say when, because they were updated. If a new person, if a lead came to it, you just want to make sure it says what you wanted to say.
It is easier to edit than it is to set up, if that makes sense. Some people set them up with like nothing. It was hard for me to set up, but editing, I did do an edit recently, and it is pretty easy. I found a few typos, changed a little bit of wording, so yeah.
Darlene was asking about a follow-up promotion with the Dr. Phil. You know what, Darlene? I haven't seen that in writing yet, and so I'm reluctant to speak to it. That's going to be for people who decide to purchase the MindWorks promotion after seeing the Dr. Phil program, going to the Dr. Phil website, which will be connected to the Shaklee website, and they'll have to order the initial MindWorks 2 bottles, and then there will be a follow-up promotion that is offered to them. They said it was going to be I don't think it's the Foundations regimen. I think it's the one that has the MindWorks in it. They call it Solution.
They said Healthy Foundations.
They did Foundations?
Vitalizer and the Vitalizing Protein, yeah. That's what they said.
Okay. I mean, well, maybe it was. Okay.
It could change.
And then they get a free Omega Guard or something. But until I see that in writing, those things are all, this all happened very quickly, very recently. Until I see it in writing, I'm reluctant to say what it is because I don't know what it's going to look like after it's still in the works. But as soon as we do, we'll put it in the pre-call. Okay, what's that? Aruna, will a full replay be available? Oh, sure. You know, you people were asking for repeats of this session. I'm very touched by that because obviously you're all analyticals and you love these numbers. Because it was Katie.
Or they're amiable and they didn't understand a one of them.
But it was Katie and Lisa's idea to just spell out those numbers as basic as that is because we kind of assume people understand that, but if you don't have a business background, how possibly could you understand that? So that's why we did that. So yes, they'll all be available. That we put everything on the slides. We wrote it all out, so it's very, very clear to people. So yes, that'll be at bobsfiles.net soon. Okay, all right. Let's see. Greg Moore they can't see each other's comments here, Joe. We got to figure out how to do that.
Well, I don't think they'll be able to.
Because Greg Moore, I wonder if we can copy and paste it into. Anyway, I got to figure that out. Thank you, Greg. Her email is Greg, G-R-E-G, Greg M, as in Moore, 9821.
Is that where she lives?
Gmail.com. I don't know.
Spelling her address.
Oh, she's so cute.
Okay.
Anything else are we doing on our? All right, so you got a number of people giving you their emails, Joe. Are you capturing that to be?
I downloaded.
Okay.
The question log.
Okay. What is the maximum number of tablets you can take from MindWorks? What are you trying to be, Albert Einstein? I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's one a day.
Actually, Beverly, wonder if Beverly's still on. Beverly Willingham, I think she takes 2, but she experimented with it. Because she was having essential tremors, where your hands shake, and it just, something about it calmed that. And she was saying how she was taking notes at a seminar I was at with her, and she said she couldn't even read her writing before then. So I don't know. That's going to be a little bit trial and error, isn't it?
Dr. Brown said too, when he was out here at conference, he got kind of nailed down on that question, and I think someone wanted to take 5, and he said, well, that might be a little bit much, but he said he was really comfortable too. My question would be, is it better to take the 2 spread out throughout the day or to take them in the morning? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Greg Moore said some folks have gotten better results with 1 tablet twice a day.
I think that's what I'm going to do because I work a lot
that's
at
what
night.
Beverly
My
does.
brain is tired.
Yeah,
So.
that Beverly does that too. But remember, there are other really important nutrients for the brain: B vitamins, B complex. By the way, if you are taking MindWorks, there's a lot of B vitamins in that, so you may be able to cut back on your B complex. By the way,
okay.
omega-3 fatty acids, very, 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 very important for the brain. You know, I take 4 to 5 of those a day because it gave me my HDL, you know, the good cholesterol. It shot it up over 100. I mean, that's a good thing, by the way. Zinc is important for the brain. Vitamin D, D as in dog, very important for the brain. So there are a lot of nutrients that are important for the brain. Jeff Whitaker said that he went to a class on Alzheimer's, and the doctor told us that the drugs that they give for Alzheimer's only helped for 6 months. Oh, golly. And I bet they're pricey, too. Oh,
sure.
Thanks.
Sure.
Wow.
Okay, let's see. Maura is asking about posting the Dr. Phil information online. I don't think they want us to do that yet until the contract is secured. So, but conversations are fine. We just watch Shaklee, because whatever they send us, we can then send on. Okay.
It just cracks me up, though, because literally 3 seconds after it comes out of someone else's mouth, I saw it on Facebook before the sentence was finished.
Right.
I know.
So good luck getting that horse back to the barn.
For those of you who may have tuned in late, we gave you a couple of dialogues in the pre-call today that you can have conversations with people right now and just tell them that about this new product that the company just introduced. Don't know if they've seen the material on it yet or not, but wanted them to know that the results have been so dramatic, so impressive, so inspiring that the product now is going to be featured on a Dr. Phil program in November. And would they like to know about it, know a little bit about the product? So there's no reason why we can't make those sales right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Donnie's asking what happened to Monday evening. Don't even ask me, Donnie, about Monday. Every technological problem that could occur did occur on Monday night. So that one will have to be repeated, and because it was not fit for prime time.
That sounds a little risque there.
It was really a great autoimmune topic, and we had wonderful stories. Eliza Swain from your group, Lisa with fibromyalgia, Beverly Willingham, very powerful story about scleroderma, and then Linda Dietz, who had lupus, and they just had some wonderful things to share. So we've got to repeat that one. It was very good. Okay,
Eliza's going to be on a product talk call here in November, by the way, if anybody really is interested in the fibromyalgia topic. I think it's the 11th of November. Eliza and I are going to go on, and she's going to share her story.
Excellent. And, Chris, I think, captures those in the Better Health in 31 Days also. So excellent.
Nice.
Excellent. Elena wanted to know about that magazine, Joe, called This Week.
The Week.
The Week. Oh, The Week. Okay.
October 24th. 2014, and it's in the health and science section.
The Week. I'm sure we'll be able to find that on.
Well, you know what? I can type that up and put it as an attachment too.
Okay. BetterFutureStartsToday.com. Thank you, Chris. After I mangled that. Oh gosh. Okay.
All right. I think it's time.
Okay. Well, gosh, so many comments today. Woo. Okay. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Thanks all for joining us. We appreciate you coming along, and we appreciate all your great ideas. Okay.
Have a great week, and remember
Bye-bye.
your action steps.
Yes. Good idea. Bye-bye.
Bye.